Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing a Dungeons & Dragons discussion. I'm titling this one, My Epiphany of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons versus 5th Edition. Before I get into this though, because I'll get into it and forget to do it, if you enjoy my content, it would really help me out if you could hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, share my content, and post a comment or two. Remember, I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Friends can still disagree. And check me out over on Rumble for my political commentary and weekly current events. If you enjoy a good book, check out my author page over on Amazon.com. My pen name is H.L. Anderson. You can find all of my books there. I've got 11 books published, including 2 tabletop role-playing games. But to be fair, the last one's more of a tabletop war game. I mean, technically you have a character, so it's a role-playing game, but it's just combat. Anyway, there's 2 games there too. Okay, here we go. My Epiphany. If you follow my channel, you will know that I am an old school, old hack gamer. I cut my teeth on the old Red Box original game, but before that we played Chainmail. Before that we played Chainmail. Can't read my own damn writing. Even before that, I played chess and cards. My family is extremely competitive, even with kids as young as I was. I was raised competitive, and that translates into my current grumpy state. That's just who I am and what I am. My son runs predominantly 5th edition, and our current local gaming group plays mostly 5e, and they are really great people. They run good games. My issue has been that I could not wrap my head around 5th edition. Sure, it's a different game, I get that. But I could not put my finger on exactly why I disliked it. And dislike isn't even the right word. Hate is more like it. I hated 5th edition D&D. I just could not put my finger on why. My wife and son helped me to realize why that it's just so different from Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. We were having a discussion, and it popped into my head exactly why I hate the 5th edition so much. I've done videos on the issues that I had with 5e. The latest one, if I'm not mistaken, is called Loopholes. Go and check it out. It is true that the 5e game designers ruled and regulated that game to death. My wife says it's more structured, and she's not wrong. But then they helped me to realize why they did that. There was a reason, and I understand it now. 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons is just simply a different game. It's not supposed to be tabletop role-playing. Well, no, it is tabletop role-playing. Let me stick with my script that I wrote here. I'm a hard-headed, stubborn old hack gamer. I think in terms of tactics. And I'm a veteran trained to think in terms of how to win. My family made me competitive from as far back as I can remember. That's why Advanced Dungeons & Dragons appeals to me so much. And as it turns out, that's why 5e doesn't appeal to me the same way. I've been playing 5e the same way as I play Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and you simply cannot do that. It is a different game. I keep saying that. I'm going to elaborate. Put on your Dungeon Master's hat and follow along with me. Let me get a drink of coffee first, because, everything's better with coffee. And I'm getting over a cold, so bear with my voice. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons had an open system. It was primitive and basic, which left a lot for the player to work with tactically. You could improvise, and you can find new ways to defeat opponents. The melee combat was brutal, and the spells were multifaceted. They had more than one use. Players were expected to think outside the box and to improvise. They had to. As the Dungeon Master, you had to judge all of these improvisations, and all of your rulings had to apply equally to every player, and they all had to be consistent. I've said many times that consistency is the key to running any game, and I stand by that. Whatever rule you use has to be justified, and it has to be consistent, period. That's game mechanics. The other part of that is the role-play aspect. It is a role-playing game. Players play a role. In Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, role-playing was carefully regulated because if a player was allowed to role-play something that affected the game mechanics, it could do serious damage to your world. Players are good at using role-play to affect the game mechanics. They're so good at it that sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. Sometimes such a situation will slip through the cracks, and if the dungeon master isn't very, very careful, his entire world will be destroyed when the players realize what they've done. A roleplay segment that lets a player character fudge a rule or a judgment call, for example, could come back and bite the entire game world in the ass. Dungeon masters back in the day were control freaks because we had to be. Now, compare that to 5th edition. The more structured game has fewer loopholes and less judgment calls needed by the dungeon master. They added tons of new stuff, but they ruled and regulated all of that to death. They eliminated every conceivable ounce of wiggle room. They did this for a reason. 5e players are expected to roleplay, and the game designers didn't want any accidental roleplay botches to destroy the world. 5th edition worlds are a lot more structured and have a broader scope of rules because the new game demanded it. It demanded it. Advanced Dungeons, and now comes the reason behind all this. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons evolved from tactical war games. It went from tactical wargaming to chainmail to the Red Box edition, and finally to what I consider the perfect tabletop role-playing game, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Okay? 5e did not get that advantage. And 5th edition essentially started with 2nd edition. 2nd edition is where role-playing started to become more prevalent. In earlier versions, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and the like, the role-play aspect was secondary. It was almost an afterthought because the games evolved from tabletop wargaming. You had to have the game mechanics right. That was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. 5th edition essentially started with 2nd edition, which is where the role-playing aspect started to become more prevalent. Then it went to 3E, 3.5, and then finally to 5. Now, I don't know of anybody who liked 4th edition. It was kind of 4th edition is kind of like a pothole to be avoided. I don't know of anybody who likes it. But that explains 5th edition. It can't be played like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons because it is not even close to being the same game. And it wasn't meant to be. It's different for a reason. Video games went from programmed worlds to open worlds. I think tabletop role-playing went the other way around. It started out open and then came to a more structured situation. My issues with 5th edition were mine. Now that I understand 5th edition a bit better, maybe I'll have more fun playing it. My son is going to help me, and I'll have to apologize to Chris and Ashley. They run excellent games and have been more than magnanimous to include an aging dinosaur like me. Who knows? Maybe between the three of them, they can teach an old dog new tricks. And I'm all for that. Amen. God bless them all. I hope this finds everybody well, and I hope this made sense, especially to some of the older players. Once you understand that 5th edition is not, it's not Advanced Dungeons and Dragons specifically, but it's not the older versions of the game, maybe it'll make more sense to you. And I did this as a play aid for everybody, especially me. It is an epiphany after all. I hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all.